let's explore the most confusing 4 measures in the real book. I'm Ron Drotos, and welcome to my journey through the real book, number 121. And this is Footprints by Wayne Shorter. And it's like everything else with Wayne Shorter. It's not straightforward, but it's a wonderful thing, actually. It really is. And it's ironic because it's his most played tune. It's his, quote, easiest tune. It's the one that's most like a straight-ahead blues. Yet these 4 measures are so confusing as to what is played. And I did some research for this because this is great, because going through the real book step by step and having to make these videos, challenging myself, committing to making these videos every week for 8 years for 400 tunes. It's challenging me. Now, this is a tune I've played a lot. I've been playing it since I was about 16 years old. It was in the old real book, the original. But the interesting thing is these videos are challenging me to finally address those things that I never really addressed. Like I think in the original real book, it was just a D flat or a D chord to a D flat and then went to C. And then somewhere along the line, they put these in, which is F sharp minor 7 flat 5, F7 sharp 11, E7 altered, and then A7 altered, then goes to C. And I was thinking, which is right, And if you look on the internet, and I revisited some of the threads in chat rooms that are, Google, like, what are the chords for Footprints? There's a lot written about this, and it's all so confusing, but I think I've got it here. All right, so this is Wayne Shorter. Wayne Shorter's definition of jazz is, quote, I dare you. And in his own work, I think one of the reasons he's so great is that he doesn't define these things. He doesn't say, oh, these are the same chords I'm going to use every time. So he doesn't make it easy for us to do that either, and maybe we shouldn't. So this is an old book of transcriptions. That's wonderful. It's in tenor. Both of these are in the tenor key, which is good to do as a pianist because we can learn it in the other key, and then we can transpose it. Either write it out or not. So the thing is, even tunes that have straight ahead chords, like Anna Maria, he doesn't put the chords in, or he puts them for the intro and not the rest of the tune. And Wayne Shorter had a say in this book. There's interviews with him before the tunes, and he apparently gave some of his lead sheets or whatever to be used, and consulted on it. And it's inconsistent, and I think he does that on purpose. Footprints does not have any chord changes. He didn't give chord changes, but he wrote, Wayne Shorter, this is a simplified vehicle for improvisation to do whatever you want to do. At the time, it was mainly geared for club audiences. Note that there are not too many chord changes, only a few, but having a stepwise melodic pattern. And he didn't even put in the chord changes. He said, note that there are only a few chord changes, and he didn't put them in. Whereas, actually, I don't think, are there any tunes with, some of them do have chord changes. Some of the tunes do have chord changes in here. That's interesting. Some of them I penciled them in. Only a couple of them really have chord changes. That's interesting. Okay, the next one. This is a newer version. I think that's out of print. The New Best of Wayne Shorter. This does have chord changes. Let's see what it says for Footprints. Page 444. Footprints. All right, it's not these chord changes. It goes from F sharp minor 7 flat 5. I'm transposing down a step from this to B9. So it's 2 sets of 2 5s, and then it's a E minor 7 flat 5 to A. Oh, so it's F sharp 7, not minor 7 flat 5. F sharp 7 to B7, E minor 7 flat 5 to A7. So the qualities are different. It's not minor 7 flat 5. Okay, so this is from Wayne Shorter too, ostensibly, or someone who consulted with him, or the quote official version, and it's different than anything I've ever seen before. So then I was looking at this chat room thing, where they had a thread on a forum rather. And someone said that in his book, which I do have, that there is his own handwritten lead sheet to Footprints, and that's the title. And the interesting thing is the person said, look at that, and these are his chords. And they wrote out basically these chords, F sharp, F, E, A, in the chat room. They said, these are the chords Wayne put in the book. So I looked, and I found it. And those are not the chords that Wayne put in the book. He put F sharp minor 7 to B7, sharp 9 flat, sharp 5, to E7 altered, to A7 altered. So minor 9 actually, F sharp minor 9, not flat 5, to B. So he has two, it's almost like two 5s. That's what he put. Different than this. And then if you listen to Miles, the Miles Davis version, you hear the bass doing different things, kind of making it, going down to E flat, then up to E, and then A, sort of getting even more chromatic than this. You listen to other versions, he's doing this, like on YouTube. It's all over the place. You know, there's a great version on Adam's Apple with Reggie Workman on bass, you know, and he's sort of disguising that part. So this is what I think it is. And I've even seen wrong chords in transcriptions about books about Miles Davis, where they have a G with F sharp in the bass, and then G with F down here. I don't think that's right. That's not what they were playing. They might have been sort of implying that chord, but clearly that's very close to Wayne's lead sheet himself. This is what I'm thinking. This is a blues, but in that section, instead of going to the 5 chord, or variations on the 5 chord, which everybody else would do on the blues, Wayne is just mixing it up. And I think basically these chords really work. And he wants that to sound fresh again, not just blues. He's doing something to make us think in that spot. Oh, what's happening here? This is a place to explore. So I would start with these chords. You could put the B7 in the second bar if you wanted, like he has in his lead sheet. But basically, these chords are very good, and they're basically the closest combination of his own lead sheet, which is in here, with version from Miles Smiles and from this. So I think these, I'm confident with these chords, but if you want to mess around with the bass line, you can too. There's a great version with Wayne playing it on YouTube with Esperanza Spalding, just playing the bass. And she plays different things too. I think she goes to an E instead of the F sharp at first. And so, and Wayne's right there. You know, it's fine if it's vague or if it's different every time in his book. Anyway, I hope that helps. That's my thought process on all this. And this bass line is, even though it's so identified with the song, it's tricky. You know, it's really a bass thing to go between the string. Boom, 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 boom. You know, you could play it on the piano. I don't necessarily feel a need to play it. I try to get the vibe of the song like in a more pianistic way, I think. But hey, if you like it, you know, go for it. Go for it. All right, let's see. I'm just going to try to create a mood and then sort of take Wayne's inspiration and see what happens there. Maybe it goes to different places. I don't know. Here we go. Well, it certainly is a journey of discovery, I think, every time we play a Wayne Shorter tune. If you haven't read this book, Footprints, it's a wonderful book. He participated fully in the whole book. There's a lot of interviews with him, or excerpts of sayings, or him talking to the author, Michelle Mercer, who he apparently really got along with and really encouraged in many ways in her own writing and how to write this book. It's a wonderful book. It's one of the best biographies, practically an autobiography in some ways, because he had so much input. She spent so much time with him. It's wonderful. And use this as a jumping off point, not sort of like putting it in a little box. If you want much more on how to explore Wayne Shorter tunes in that way, check out my video on Dolores, which is also in the real book. Really spent a lot of time looking at his concept of how to play a tune and how it doesn't have to be the same, even basic structure each time. And that's really one of the keys to that Miles Davis quintet in the 60s. And then Herbie's playing and Wayne's playing ever since, I think. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.